did you work on this offseason?
Yeah, I think it was kind of new, like being able to like know Coach Rule's standards and like what he wants us to do every day, and being able to be a part in leading that. So that was a new experience for me. Being the older guy in the quarterback room, that comes with responsibilities. So tried to help everyone, and especially these young quarterbacks.
You were on the elite list almost every week this offseason. What went into that for you to being on that list every week?
I think it's, I mean, I don't know, I kind of give, when people ask me about that, I give a lot of that credit to my dad and my mom. Like, that's just kind of the way that they raised me, and I fought back a lot when I was a child, and they corrected. They were hard on me, and I kind of just learned standards with how you do everything. And so yeah, like some of the stuff may have been new, but I mean it's the same principles.
Where do you feel you've come along advanced as a quarterback since? I mean, you can go all the way back to January, but more specifically since the spring game.
Yeah, I mean it's the things that last season that I was talking about that I really wanted to improve during the season, but didn't have the time. Some of the things I was working on took a good amount of time, so just tried to focus on those, accuracy, and then also, I mean, there's no limit to the mastery of the offense. Like continuing to know it inside and out. So those are things that that you can't snap your fingers and correct. And I think those were some of the glaring things that I had to take care of after last season.
I think in the spring you had mentioned some of the specific areas where maybe your throwing mechanics or your footwork. I mean, did you achieve what you wanted to in those specific areas?
I worked hard at them. I don't know if I'll ever achieve perfection. I don't think anyone ever will. So that's what I'm always striving for. But I think I made a lot of improvement in those areas. So, but I mean, I'm still working every day. Before practice. Once you get into practice, you can't think about that stuff. And so that was part of the issue. Not issue, but one of the hard things last year was it was all practice, and like that's all we had time really for. So I couldn't devote a lot of time to that sort of stuff. But with this off season and fall camp, there's time before practice and after practice to maybe work on some of that stuff. So just a little bit here and there to work on that.
Did you go off campus and work with Christenson, with Jeff Christenson?
I did.
Yeah. So what did you see him this summer, and what's the focus of that when you guys get together?
Yeah. So I mean, I started going down there, and he came up here one time, and starting December, and a lot of that's just pure mechanics. I mean, there's nothing else to it. So I mean, that's really the base of it. I went down there a couple times this summer, in the spring a little bit too. So yeah.
Broadly speaking, how is the offense different from last year?
I think there's a new, not a new. Obviously, I mean, we had a good amount of seniors graduate last year, but I think there's an emergence of leadership from some new guys and some younger guys too that they've all of a sudden have they've taken upon themselves, rightly so, to uphold the standard. And so I think those guys, as they continue to do that, it'll only help us.
Where's the comfort level in a year two now for this team in fall camp, just kind of knowing the ropes a little bit better as far as how Matt Rule does things?
Yeah, I mean, I think going off what you said, like Coach Rule, like his standards and everything, and how he structures, like, I mean, a lot of the older guys from last year, like we know, like if you go hard, like he'll rest you. Like he's not gonna run you till you die. But he expects a certain level of work, and if you don't meet that level of work, then he'll just make you do it over again. And so I think as we try, some of the older guys, as we try to convey that to the younger guys, and I don't know if sometimes if it gets across until they experience it. Like, okay, if I go really hard like this day, then we may have tomorrow off, or not off, but limited. And so I think as older guys try to convey that, I think the younger guys are starting to understand that.
How has Jaylen made your quarterback better?
He, I mean, haven't gotten to know Jaylen really well yet, but he does kind of bring a sense of comfort, I guess. It kind of feels like he just kind of completes the circle. You know, I don't know if there was, I wouldn't say there was a gap before Jaylen, but it was, you know, it did kind of feel just a little weird for me. I mean, I've been here a long time, and, you know, all these guys just came in. And, you know, they're high school, and they have a lot of experience. They know the game well, but there is a certain level of how long have you been in college and seen all of this and know what college is like. And so, like today, like Jaylen, even though he came in the summer, like he's one of those guys that started upholding the standard like right away because he knows what it takes in college to continue to get better.
I know when we were talking to your teammates earlier this week, Teddy Prohaska, when you described you, said he's just a carny boy. What do you think you mean by that?
I don't know. Teddy likes to stereotype me into like a farmer, even though I don't know where he gets that from. I guess he played Kearney High a lot, and I don't know. I guess I didn't hang around the Kearney High guys a whole lot, so I don't know exactly what they're like. But I think he kind of groups me into that, and I mean, I don't know.
Do you have a farming background?
Well, I do, but I didn't grow up like in a combine. I mean, my dad owns a ag equipment manufacturing company. The Haarbergs have been farming since 1860 in Nebraska. My mom's side's a ranch family, so I mean there is some of that, but I mean I didn't grow up on a farm. I grew up on a small acreage outside of Kearney, so I don't know.
How many hours a week do you spend on this? Just like total, like how many hours are you putting in every day into being the starting quarterback in Nebraska?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good balance. I know me personally, I like to take a couple hours at night to go and reset. I think that's really important. I think for anyone who does it. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know if it's humanly possible to spend, you know, if you're waking, what would it be, like 17 hours to spend 16 hours on that? I don't know if that's possible. But I think even when I am home, not in the facility, and you know maybe I'm just watching TV. I mean, there's just some like you still have to think about that stuff, and you just there's a lot of it for me is sitting down, meditating, and praying, and so that's part of it. But I mean, I wouldn't know what to tell you on how to guess on how many hours a day. But I think Danny, Dylan, I think those guys are doing the same thing. I mean, we all put a lot of time and hours into it, and hopefully, I mean, really all I think we want is for our work to reflect in this season, just because we all know how hard we've worked and how many hours we have put in. So,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you.